Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Township Committee meeting of January 12th, 2023. Adequate notice of the January 12th, 2023 Township Committee meeting has been provided in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act by posting written notice and agenda of the meeting on the bulletin board in the Municipal Building, 1000 Route 10, Township of Hanover, and by hand delivering, mailing, or faxing such notice and agenda to the following newspapers: Morris County's Daily Record, Star Ledger, the Hanover Eagle, and by filing the same with the Township Clerk.
On roll call, Committeeman Cahill.
Here.
Committeeman Faramonsta.
Here.
Committeeman Francioli.
Here.
Committeeman Mahalko.
Here.
Mayor Gallagher.
Here.
5 members in attendance.
Okay. Please rise for the flag salute. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please remain standing for our prayer.
Almighty God, as we start this new year, please watch over and guide this governing body with an abundance of wisdom and understanding to help them make the best decisions for our residents. Please bless our first responders and township volunteers who keep us all safe. Also, bless our township employees and residents. Lastly, please let us pray for the men and women of our U.S. Armed Forces who stand vigilant over us always. Amen.
Thank you. Amen.
Just got it.
Let me put on my glasses.
So this is going to be...
Ladies first. Welcome to 2 public hearings regarding the Hanover Township Town Center property. This existing trail and conservation easement is being relocated on the property to accommodate the redevelopment of the former Pine Plaza and to advance the purpose of Patriots Path connectivity from the north. This trail construction on the Hanover Town Center property will eventually connect through Eden Woods. To accomplish this, we are holding 2 public hearings this evening, which you can provide comment and ask questions directly to Frank Pinto after he provides his presentation. These hearings will address the requirements of Green Acres rules, specifically NJAC 7:36-26-3, as well as NJSA 13:8B-5, known as the New Jersey Conservation Restriction and Historic Preservation Restriction Act. Public notices were provided in accordance with the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection regulations and NJSA 13:8B-5. A presentation on behalf of the township will be conducted by Greener by Design Frank Pinto. This public will have the opportunity to make public comment on the record either tonight or by submitting written comments for the next 14 days. I would like to turn over this presentation to Frank.
Thank you, Mayor.
Frank, welcome.
Hello, everyone. This will be a relatively brief presentation and give you the opportunity to hear from you. As the Mayor said, my name is Frank Pinto, and I work for a company called Greener by Design, who has been hired to handle the application for disposal of the Patriots Path easement on this property. I'll be making the presentation. You'll have the opportunity to make comments at the conclusion. As the Mayor pointed out, there are 2 specific public hearings that are held. We're doing them at the same time. It's to address the New Jersey Conservation Restriction and Historic Preservation Restriction Act, as well as NJAC, that's the Green Acres rules that govern preserved open spaces. What you see, it's obviously very difficult to see the deed details on the left, but that is the existing, this is an aerial photo of the prior Pines Plaza development that's now being redeveloped into a mixed-use development. At the time of this original development, an easement was created that was to permit a trail running along the backyards along Legion Place. This trail contemplated but was never constructed. Roads are getting cut off. Here are some photos of the current site conditions. I'm sure Some of the people present, residents know that it's basically been a cleared property and it's just been sitting without any activity for quite a while. This diversion matter needs to be concluded in order for the redevelopment process to begin. The original easement created in 1990 indicated a public access trail being constructed along the rear property lines of the residences adjoining the property on Legion Place. However, the topography and location to those homes and the ones to be constructed on the Hanover Town Center property makes that a less desirable location than the one proposed as shown on this map. The existing easements are shown in green and the proposed is shown in red. This shows more detail of the easement area on the northern portion of the Hanover Town Center property. The enhancements include a larger easement area than exists currently. The easement will have a connection to the signalized intersection for safe pedestrian crossings of Route 10. That crossing will enable a connection to existing sections of Patriots Path north of Route 10. There will also be a pocket park developed on the Hanover Town Center property. The actual trail will also be constructed, taking this from a concept to reality. This detail aerial is showing the southern portion of the Hanover Town Center property. There will be a connection to another existing trail easement on the Metro West Community Campus property immediately south. That trail does not exist today, nor is it part of this proposal for this evening. The area shown along Legion Place is a conservation easement area, and the trail will not be constructed in that location. This map shows the constructed trail will connect to existing public access easements both north and south of the property. The public will be able to cross Route 10 at the signalized intersection. To conclude, since 1990, there has been no trail on the property. This plan will finally put that matter to rest by constructing the trail as part of the redevelopment of the property. Further, it will be located in a more user-friendly area and will have connections both north and south of the property. The total area of the easement will also be increasing from what exists. So, Mayor, that concludes my presentation. I think you can open it to proposed comment.
Okay, can I have a motion to open to the
So
public?
moved.
Can I have a second?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. If anyone from the public would like to address the governing body or ask a question, please step up to the podium, state your name and address, and you have 4 minutes, and ask your question. Thank you.
Anne Marie Torrey, 10 Legion Place. So with regards to the relocation and expansion of the Patriots Path Public Access and Conservation Easement, we have some questions and concerns. So what is the intention of the construction of this path? Is it going to be pavement, rock, grass, or are you just leaving the land as is? Do I just keep talking because
Take it away,
my
Frank.
4 minutes is going to be...
You know what, it's not really a comment, this is time for question and answer, so take your time. Yes, you can take your time.
Okay, thank you.
Should I answer that?
Yes,
Okay.
please.
My understanding of the plan is that the thin strip that is shown in red on this map is primarily going to be a sidewalk.
So it's...
You're going to put a sidewalk.
Excuse me, your name, please?
Victoria Puzik, P-U-Z-Y-K, and I live at 14 Legion Place.
Thank you.
So the current easement area in green is not where the sidewalk or the walking path is going to be developed. It will be in the red portion. It will be part of the redevelopment plan. And most of the thin area is the sidewalk that will be part of the residential redevelopment of the property.
Because now that is going to go directly behind my house, which there is no path there as of now.
And half of mine.
No, correct, there is no path there now.
Right, so
There
it
is the right
was, so
to
it's
build
zoned
path.
as commercial at this moment. Is that correct? And now you're going to change it to a public access area.
Yeah.
Okay, we have to have one person speak at a time to
Let
Frank.
me talk, and then we can go.
The existing easement, which is not constructed, is located in green along the back edges of the Legion Place property.
Correct.
That is not where the trail will be constructed.
Okay.
Okay.
So it'll be moved over where the red is, which is
Correct.
directly
Correct.
touching my backyard.
No, it is not.
Yes, it's not there? It is when I look at the map.
We need to clarify that there's two red areas.
I'm sorry, so you're towards the very northern end of the property? Is that where you were discussing?
It's the red line to the right of the picture.
Can I, next to the green in a very thin...
Yes,
red-
I see where you're talking. Can you answer that, please? As to-
Yeah.
Just for the record.
So for the record.
My name is Brent Cho. I'm a township planner. Is there a microphone? Can you-
Well, sit there.
The route of the path, there's a green area, which is the existing easement, which is...
Correct.
There's no path today. There's a red area that's within that green, that's right at the back of the Legion Place properties. That is not going to be improved other than a planting buffer. There's no path in that. And that extends all the way up to Mount Pleasant Avenue. Where the path is going starts at the bottom and it immediately goes 90 degrees to the left where he's pointing, and then it goes on a sidewalk through a residential development that's been approved but not yet built, going up to that large red area and then out to Route 10. That's where
So what is that other red piece?
that's a buffer. That's a planted buffer area. That's going to stay as a conservation area, which is what it is today in the green. And that conservation is going to be extended up to Mount Pleasant Avenue. It's not going to get a path.
So the green part is getting nothing,
Just trees
just trees there
and a fence.
and a fence.
Yeah, to separate the
So
Legion.
so that will not be a public access area?
That's going to be a conservation area. There's not going to be no walkway for people to walk in there.
Okay, because that's not how it looked here on the plans. Okay, so now with, the gentleman had just said that there, in the Pine Plaza, there's been no activity there. We beg to differ. So we are hearing trucks there early in the morning with their reverse signals going. There's flashes of lights that have been coming through our windows early in the morning. So there obviously is some kind of movement going on back there. The sights from the backyards, it's just atrocious the way it looks. The fence that was there was removed, and then another fence was put up. There's still behind my property an area that's opened where there was a fence that was connected before.
Frank, let me jump in here if I could.
Go ahead.
We have to focus tonight on the hearing for this change, and we are always available anytime to talk about the condition of the site and the site, and you know I'm always available, we all are. I want to hear all of your concerns, but for tonight, I think it's very important we focus on this application to make this change.
All right, so just to be clear, so the green part is not being touched. The red part up at the top, that now is going behind, I don't know why there's a red, so that's just a buffer. There's nothing there, no public access to be behind, right behind our houses.
That's my understanding, yes.
Okay.
And
because
may I also add to answer that, and I hope, and Blaise, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but one of the things that happened here is the existing, that green area, that is the public area right now. That's the easement area. Now, maybe it hasn't been developed, but if this application doesn't go through, then as it stands, that's a public area that could be developed as part of the path.
Right now, there is a right of public access in that green area.
Yeah, and that's sort of how it all came about, because it was never constructed. When the application went through, and it was discovered that that area could, in the future, be developed as it was a Green Acres access area, it really brought everything to a stop so that this could be addressed appropriately. So if this application's approved, it's very narrow, it's just about the green acres and the public area access, it would in effect, as Blaise said, there would just be a buffer there, but there would be no public right of access for that easement anymore. It would move. It would be where the red area is, inside of the project for that public access. And Blaise, please, because we're on the public record, I want to make sure that's accurate as far as historically what's happened. And
yes.
assure the residents as to
Yes.
what this is.
In fact, even if there were a right of access, from a practical perspective, it would not be feasible because the site plan that's already been approved for that shows it's planted with trees and a fence. So you couldn't walk there without dodging between trees. It's just, they're so close together that it's not practical for anyone to walk there. So the
Okay,
idea is to buffer the homes on Legion Place from the development on Pond Plaza.
Okay, because that's what we were concerned about, because even looking at what I took off the website, it says here, there's a little line, it says proposed Patriot Path.
Yeah, it's a label, unfortunately,
And
that
it's
creates that
going here,
confusion.
so that's why we're thinking it's going right up on our property line.
Yeah, but...
So that is not-
It's a path easement label that's been assigned to all of the red area, but the physical pathway is going in that thin red line to the left.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you.
Spell your last name for me?
Torre, T-O-R-R-E.
Thank you. So, 2 questions. Has any analysis of an increase of crime rates or people now, before that was commercial, there were stores, it closed at a certain point, there were lights, it was safe. Now, you're going to have homes, right? That's what you guys are saying, it's going to be residential? And you're bringing in and you're inviting people to come and hang out in this open public park and now this open path area. Are you guys going to be hiring more police officers, or you're going to have somebody who's going to be patrolling that area to make sure that the crime in that area doesn't increase? Because I know the town, there's something was posted on Facebook today that there was like, there's been an increase in break-in and thefts, and is this going to be inviting more people? Anybody?
So Frank, is that a question for Frank? Because that doesn't sound like it's, pertains exactly to the application.
No, it's absolutely for the application. We're building an area with concrete for people to walk, and you're putting in a park.
Frank, do you want to answer that, and then I'll jump in?
I'm just asking, has there been any type of crime analysis on whoever's supposed to do it? Is it supposed to be the town? Is it supposed to be the man developing it? Is it supposed to be...
To my knowledge, there's not been a crime study
Analysis?
done on that, and I don't think that would be typical as part of a redevelopment plan. What I will say is that the trail, once constructed, will be managed by the Morris County Park Commission as part of Patriots Path.
So not the town?
Let me finish. They have, all of their parks are patrolled. It's done by the county sheriff's office now. Their parks are also dawn to dusk. There's no evening traffic. The pocket park within this development, I don't know what the uses will be within it and what the hours are, but typically, like most municipal parks, it's probably a dawn to dusk operation.
Okay,
And I just want to jump in out of respect, I live pretty close to this area.
I live right there.
And my children are no longer younger, but when it comes to our relationship with our PD in problematic areas, we're always in touch with our PD when it comes to any development, even on planning with traffic. Every aspect of every development, we weigh out all the options. In a perfect world, does it always work? No. But if there is like a limited amount of high dollar market homes, and a limited amount, and potentially a very nice area to shop. There's only going to be like a sidewalk, and like Frank made clear, it would be part of Patriots Path. And if there's ever an issue, you can always call Hanover Township PD. You can always get in touch with us, and we don't want to have a problem.
Okay, go ahead.
And if I may just add again, just because it's so important, that right now, for the last 40 years, that public easement has existed here.
Yeah.
It just wasn't constructed in accordance with that, it was never developed. But what will happen if this application's approved is that path, that Patriots Path, will no longer be in the back of what we've known as the Pine Plaza Shopping Center adjacent to Legion Place. It's going to be more in the center of the development that's forthcoming at the actual site. So it will not be right up against Legion Place and your property. It's going to be in the middle of, close to the center of this project.
Right.
Just so you're aware, which I think would be more favorable, and it's just a better
Absolutely.
design.
And that's what I was going to say too, is it'll be more structured and easier to keep an eye on everything in patrol, because it won't be right up against.
Agreed, that was a major concern from the beginning, it being so far, how would the police get there?
Right.
So, I live at 14 Legion Place, there, prior to the demolishing of every tree and everything else, it actually was pleasant to look at. The trees were pretty, it was well-maintained, well-manicured, that there's a hill, and the hill can affect water and flooding, and since all the trees have been removed, I have noticed an increase in flooding in our backyard. We have two Italian Mastiffs, Cane Corsos, big dogs, they like to go outside, and we have to use the bathroom, and I found myself nice and to almost my ankle in the grass, in the back of the yard, which was never a problem before. So my next question, was there an environmental study done to see how this is going to, by removing all of the trees, how it's going to affect the water in our backyards?
Blaze, do you want to answer that?
Well, I would say, no, there hasn't. I would say, though, that the relocation of the path should have no effect upon flooding in anyone's property. I would say that if there are any effects, it would relate to the actual development, not to the relocation of the path. So this hearing is about the relocation of the path, not about the development per se.
And the hill there, is that hill going to remain, or is it going to be leveled, or?
I'm not sure what hill you're speaking of.
There's a hill in between the path you're building and the path that exists, like the swamp, it's right,
There's no path, there's an easement today that
okay,
exists.
easement, whatever we're going
All
to
right.
call it, yeah.
So between the red line and the green, there's a hill. When you say there's a hill, do you mean there's a slope that's higher than your property, lower than your property? How is it, I don't know, it's hard to answer your question.
In grade school, I learned mountains are really high and hills are much shorter. It's a hill.
There is regrading proposed in that area, but without getting into the details, it's hard to answer your question.
Okay.
Certainly, we did not think, when the site plan was reviewed, we did not think it would create any drainage problems. In fact, it may improve drainage problems. But it's not built yet, so it's hard to answer your question.
Right.
You're getting flooding now, but after it's built, that's the question, really, and that's something that was
Who handles
invested.
it if it's a problem after it's built? If now we become a flood zone and now we have to have flood insurance?
Yeah, we don't think that's going to happen, but until the development proceeds, and it can't proceed without this hearing, until that development proceeds, it's difficult to assess what that is. We, as part of the planning board's review of the site plan, though, we did not see any drainage problems resulting from this. There are going to be detention basins. They're nowhere near the residential properties on Legion Place.
But you
There are-
didn't have an environmental specialist look at this and...
Well, they
make
did
that
look at,
determination?
wetlands were explored, and stormwater drainage was all studied and reviewed and analyzed and approved.
So then there is an environmental
Well,
report?
Engineering.
Yeah, as an engineering, environmental, yes, to that extent, yes. But I can assure you that stormwater drainage was looked at. It just hasn't been implemented yet because the project can't proceed.
can that be made public so we can look at it?
It is public record, yes. If you contact the Township and request specific records, we can provide them.
Great.
And one comment I'd like to make about that is, even in a neighborhood, if someone changes their grade and it adversely affects their neighbor with water run, that's not an acceptable practice anywhere. So I would tell you, and again, you know how to get in touch with me. I guarantee, I can almost guarantee, because I'm not in this field, but I spent a lot of time looking at this, I could say that with a reasonable amount of certainty that this is not going to adversely affect your property with flooding.
Okay.
Because it's very, very serious construction, very serious professionals, and like we said in the beginning, we're all out this is our town, we're out in the town all the time, and if all of a sudden you have 4 inches of water in your backyard, you can show up right here and tell us, and we'll all be over there the next day asking what happened and what we can do about it. But it's not a practice to allow anything to take place where it would adversely affect your property with water. And I see that all the time in my private line of work.
So one other question about again, I think it's great, it's better to be off of our property line, I'm not disagreeing with that. My question is, it gets moved, obviously there's going to be a privacy fence that is, greater than 6 feet tall, and trees. The trees are going to, I'm assuming, grow large and tall, right? So it's very private? Yeah?
I think the fence is 6 feet high, and the trees are trees.
But people can climb a 6-foot fence.
I think it's not going to be a climbable fence. I think it's a solid fence. It's not a chain link fence or something like that that you could climb.
So like a stone fence?
I think it's probably a vinyl board, vertical board fence.
And there's going to be space underneath it?
There may be a few inches underneath it, just, so water can flow and that sort of thing, but not a lot of space. It's not something you can crawl under.
So can a 6-foot fence be discussed further for the property owners? Because that doesn't seem very safe.
What do you mean, safe?
Well, 6 feet, people can climb that. I mean, I have a 2-year-old son, right? I went to the pediatrician and he said, well, he'll probably be around 6 foot tall. I mean, he'll be able to see over that fence. I'm very short, but I'm sure there's people taller. See, we moved here planning to make life here, and this whole construction has really put a damper in our plans of raising our 2 children here. I wanted to move to Whippany. I grew up in Livingston, a very beautiful, nice town. They're very strict about what you can have and not have and the way the town looks, and you'll get, summons if you don't follow the town, rules. So I wanted to bring my children to a town where there were nice, good people, and Whippany had just, it really stood out to us, and that's why we came here and we moved here. And in the 7, almost 8 years of us living here, seeing just the demise of what's going on behind us and all the building and the knocking down of trees and buildings, it's quite sad. So it's hard to think that you guys do have our best interest in mind, because I don't think I've seen it. I mean, Mr. Gallagher, he's such a sweetheart. When I was concerned, he came out, he addressed the problem immediately, but I think he was probably the only person who did that after any phone call. So all this is just very, concerning.
You know what I would say, with all due respect, is these concerns are real, and we're here for you, but we really can't do anything until we move forward on this application.
Right.
But as far as the fence and the height and the style of the fence, we can discuss that and explain it better and what we're going to do and why we're going to do it. So I would like to have that conversation at another time so we can focus on this application.
That's fine, as
tonight.
long as it doesn't become a closed, topic.
Nothing's closed.
Okay.
We're always available, we represent you. And we also want what's best for Hanover Township, and we also would like to have a beautiful facility there that we can shop at and enjoy and have some people live there, and we can also get a very nice rateable for our town. So we're balancing, but we certainly don't want you to pay the freight for an improvement, and that's what it's going to be, an improvement.
I hope so.
Mayor, if I could just add, there was an application for development. It was reviewed, as Mr. Blanchow said. It was before the planning board. It was made available. It was advertised and noticed to the public. But what's really important is there's an approved plan that was reviewed, scrutinized, and approved by the planning board. It's on file in the engineering and planning office. And I think I would say it's a vast improvement as to what was there, which was which faced Legion Place, which was a number of vacant stores, the rear of the vacant stores, and here the planning board always takes a lot of care about buffers, trees, and I think if you were to meet or go down and look at those plans, you would feel a lot better about where it was and where it's going. And I also want to say, that plan, when you see it, the township reviews the work that's completed. Engineering will go out and make sure it's built as proposed and as approved. It doesn't just say, okay. There's a whole process. Bonds are posted, and there's a review of that work to make sure everyone's interest is protected.
Okay, do they follow, and come and look at it as it's being built?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Has anybody been there recently?
But, again, this is the Green Acres hearing,
Yeah.
so I can't answer that. I can only say right now, it's generally in this transition because it cannot move forward until this matter gets resolved. Otherwise, there's going to be new plans which call for this Patriot Path in the location adjacent,
Right.
and it'll have to be restructured. So going forward, I mean, there's been interaction, but I can't speak for it, specifically. I can only tell you that that's the ultimate goal, and you really should take a look at the plans, because I think you're going to feel a lot better about what is ultimately going to happen there, as opposed to a commercial-type use. There's a residential use now. That was one of the things that was important to the township, to make sure if there was going to be residential use, it would be adjacent to Legion Place as opposed to the commercial.
John has a few comments, and John is a wealth of knowledge on this property and on many of our properties. John, please take the floor.
Yeah, thank you. The planning board cares greatly about the safety, integrity of our community. As we evaluated this proposal, one of the big issues the planning board brought forward at the time was the integrity of Mount Pleasant Avenue and Legion Place, the safety of that area. And because of that, the developer agreed to purchase the property at the end of Mount Pleasant Avenue so that we could construct literally a cul-de-sac. So there would be no longer access from State Highway 10 going east onto Mount Pleasant Avenue. So this is an illustration of the level of thought that the planning board is looking at. They're trying to make certain that whatever is built in the town, that we're doing it in a manner that's most conducive to surrounding neighbors. We also spent a great deal of time talking about the existing condition of what the neighbors were seeing and the amount of debris that was being piled in the back of the old Pine Plaza facility, and worked on getting that cleaned up. We're eager to see this redeveloped in the way in which it's been proposed. The planning board will work on ensuring that all of the various elements, to include a vinyl 6-foot fence that no one's going to be able to climb over unless you're a Jolly Green Giant, to do it, so that safety is promoted. So I can assure you, this committee and the planning board is very attuned to safety and the protection of the surrounding communities.
Thank you, John. Anyone else from the public who would like to be heard? Yes, sir.
Hi, my name's Owen Lito. Hi, I'm Owen Lito. Is this better? Hi, I'm Owen Lito. I live at 135 Park Ave, and shout out.
Speak really loud.
Okay. Hi, I'm Owen Lito. I live. Okay. Sorry. Hi. I live at 135 Park Ave, and you might have said this before, I just didn't catch it, but what's the path going to be made out of, like concrete, dirt, or rocks?
Within the development area, my understanding is it's mostly going to be sidewalk, so it'll probably be concrete.
Concrete, yeah.
When it goes into the pocket park, I'm not sure, it might be a natural surface. And it'll likely be concrete running out to the intersection, the traffic signal at Route 10. Thank you. You're welcome.
Thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Terry Baird, 180 Parsippany Road in the Whippany section of Hanover. I have a couple of questions for Mr. Pinto. The trail, you said that the county is going to be in charge of, could you please explain that relationship?
Sure. Yeah.
And who will maintain it?
Right. Right now, the easement is owned by Hanover Township. Hanover Township will continue to own the easement. The plan is to enter into a management agreement with the Morris County Park Commission to steward the property, and that means maintain.
Okay. And the easement area along Legion Place, the back of the houses, does that easement area infringe on any of the potential townhouse property sections that they, kind of corner out for the townhouse properties, like in the back where they have a deck and they have a certain amount of little property, like patio area? Is there any of those that encroach on the easement, and how is that dealt with if it does?
But my understanding is no. Blaze, do you want to?
Yeah, there, no encroachments by any physical structures will be allowed within the easement, other than the fence.
Okay, no physical structures, but is there one of those?
The easement will cross the properties of the townhomes.
Of the townhouse?
Yes, it'll be at the very rear of the townhome lots, but it will be an easement that vegetation must be preserved, and no decks or patios or swing sets or anything like that can be put within that easement.
Okay, so would it be the individual townhouse owner, or would it be the HOA's property?
It'll be owned, my understanding is it will be owned by individual townhome owners where it crosses their lots. On some of the portion, it's in the common area, which is the homeowners association. But there will be a deed restriction on all of the lots that this easement is covered by, as well as on the common property. Like the pocket park will be the homeowners association property. It's not owned by any of the townhome owners, but it'll be a deed restriction, whoever owns it, that controls it and preserves that use.
Okay, thank you. In the northern end where it comes out by the traffic light, does that crisscross with traffic at all in the parking lot area?
There's going to be a new entrance road, is my understanding. I'm not exactly sure how that's configured with the redevelopment.
There is a driveway at the signal on Route 10, just like there is today.
Right.
That driveway has to be crossed to go across Route 10.
Okay, I understand that actually at the light, but kind of between the pocket park and before it gets straight?
There's an emergency access driveway which connects the driveway from Route 10 at the light to Mount Pleasant Avenue. It's only for emergency access by fire trucks and that sort of thing. If, for example, there were to be an accident or some other problem at the driveway on Route 10, the fire department would have a second means of access to the property. That's what that emergency driveway is for.
Okay, and will that be like chained off or something so that?
Yes, it's got a gate. It has a gate.
Do a regular drive?
It has a gate, so people just can't drive through it.
Okay, and again, that would be maintained through this agreement with the...
Well, I don't think...
That I'm not sure.
No, I don't think the county is maintaining that emergency. The property owner will have to maintain that emergency access road. That's not within the open space easement.
Okay, all right. And then, the side that is on behind the Legion Place homes, is there anything in the easement agreement that would say that there would be no future trail? Because you're saying that there's no trail now, that there would be no future trail to be actually built in that area, because my understanding is right now it's 30 feet wide, it goes to 20 feet, it gets a 6-foot-high vinyl fence, as I listened to the planning board meeting, and it gets a 15-foot buffer of trees. So
It's 20.
It's a 20-foot buffer?
20-foot.
20-foot buffer? Okay, so in the future, because those are trees that are there, is there any language that would be put into that easement agreement that would prevent a trail, an access trail being built in that area?
Well, I would say that, firstly, there is, as of yet, no easement agreement. We can't create that agreement until we get approval from the state. But secondly, the site plan approval, which is also a restriction, not just the easement, the site plan approval requires it to be planted as a buffer, and to put a path there would require an amended site plan with a public hearing and the whole 9 yards. So I can't speak to the easement, but I can speak to the site plan. Right now, the site plan would not allow a path there.
Okay, and then with the trees that are supposed to be a part of that buffer, those will always have to be maintained by the property owner
As
in
part of the site plan
perpetuity?
approval, and I'm pretty sure that'll be covered by the easement as well.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Terry.
Baird, B-A-I-R-D. Terry, T-E-R-R-I.
Would anyone else like to be heard?
Mayor, before you close the hearing, may I just say, this is a very specific hearing, as you stated, and this record goes down to, correct, Mr. Pinto, the Department of Environmental Protection and the state to make a decision. So they'll read the transcript of this record, and I would say that they are looking to see if there is either support for or against this proposed change, the easement. So if anyone who spoke wants to make it clear, this is the opportunity, because to move, if you're in favor of moving this public easement and you say so, that doesn't mean you're in favor of any other project or development. This is the one opportunity that we have as a township to have this easement moved. And they're going to look at that record and see, are you in favor or against? All the other comments are important to the township, but to the state and the DEP, that's what they're looking for in that transcript. So if someone wants to make that position clear, it certainly helps the record one way or the other, I just would say. And Mr. Pinto, if you did, you're our expert.
You're absolutely correct. And beyond tonight, there is a 2-week period to make written comment.
Thank you.
So Victoria Puzik, for the record, 14 Legion Place. I am in favor for the move as long as the men speaking are going to be and keep to their word of what they propose to do. So as long as there's honesty and they're going to keep to their word, then yes, seems like a great proposal, and I, do agree to it. But again, for the record, as long as we keep to our word.
And you have to just give me 1 second. I just want to also say that we're wearing 2 hats tonight. This is our town. This is an area that we're all going to be enjoying. But the specific purpose of tonight is this exchange. And it's helpful that the presentation was made the way it does, because it does seem like a nice improvement, and it's not right against the property. And then first glance at this, it's like, oh no, that's going to go right up to my backyard. So I'm glad that was made clear, and Frankie did a very good job. That's what I want to say. Hey, how you doing again?
Anne Marie Torrey, 10 Legion Place. For the record, I am in favor of this proposed movement as long as we are going to get a privacy fence with the buffer trees. We did mail letters to the town and to Trenton saying that we were not in favor of it because of the way that it appeared on the website. It shows and it's marking that the new, it says, proposed Patriots Path with lines going right across our backyards. So perhaps if this would have been clearer, even in color, because you're using the red. The red is showing what is going to be your proposed path. But now you're telling me that the red going up to the right is going to be a buffer. If that is in fact the case, then I am in full agreement with this change.
So Fred, what will we do if we have letters going down against it and now the same two people are in favor of?
It certainly helps that the public hearing, there's a record of the discussion, and, as, Mr. Pinto has explained, and based on that representation, the record's been addressed. I think that's very helpful.
Right. I have copies of the letter on me as well that I'm more than happy to hand out. I made copies for everyone, addressing all the other issues with the water in the backyard and the issue of the pocket park, as it showing that there actually looks like on this plan that there's access from the park to get back towards our property lines without knowing anything that was going to be established as a fence and for trees. I'm sure you can see what our concern would be, knowing that within this town, we have had issues before with drugs and some behaviors that are undesirable, knowing very well that there is easy access to 287 and 80, that this makes for a very easy meeting ground if it's not maintained. We know what goes on Route 10 in certain areas, and because we know the location with access to the highways. So that was our concern as well. Who's going to be maintaining that? Are you making this area a big, open public place that's right in our backyards? So as long as we are assured, guaranteed that there will be buffers there, then we can maintain our quality of life here in this town that we've lived in for so long. And we know that you want to maintain the high standards of this town and the reputation that this town holds within Morris County in the state of New Jersey. We're very proud to live here. We've maintained our properties, and we're just looking for that to be reciprocated to make sure our quality of life and our property values remain the same and go up. Thank you.
If we could get a copy of that list you compiled of your concerns, that would be helpful for us.
Yeah.
And thank you very much.
Particularly for me, I have to address all the public comments to Green Acres, so having them all written out, it helps me a lot.
We have everything written out with all the questions.
Would anyone else like to take the floor and be heard before we close out this portion of the meeting? Motion to close. Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Kristen? Thank you very much, everyone, for coming and participating. And Frank, thank you very much. That was very informative and helpful to us, too.
Frank, we have to take a vote. Is there a vote that has to be taken?
Public hearing.
Thank you.
And you can close that.
We're done. We're hearing.
You want anybody if they want to?
You could take a roll call vote on whether or not the Township Committee supports the concept.
Okay, do you want to call? Okay, can I have a motion?
Call the roll.
Motion to accept?
Well, I think what Mr. Pinto's asking, if you're in favor of this, if you would consider a motion in favor of the proposed diversion. Is that correct? Yes.
So we just
I make a motion to support the diversion in terms of enhancing the overall integrity of the path system and providing a much better situation for our residential areas.
And I'll second it. Second.
Okay, on roll call, Committeeman Cahill.
Yes.
Committeeman Faramasca.
Aye.
Committeeman Francioli.
Aye.
Mayor Gallagher.
Aye.
4 members vote.
So that closes our public portion of that discussion. If anybody would like to exit now, please feel free. Otherwise, you can hang out with us and listen to the rest of our business. I don't think it'll be as exciting, but you're more than welcome to stay. And thank you for coming out and weighing in on this.
It'll just take me a few minutes.
Sure, no worries, we just have our regular meeting.
Oh, yeah.
How's that? Take it away, Krista.
Okay, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Our first order of business is the letter of retirement from public work employee Robert Korn, effective April 1st, 2023. Robert was a dedicated employee for 30 years of service with the township. May I have a motion to accept?
Motion to accept with regrets, but we wish Bobby Korn all the best in retirement. He and the Korn family have contributed much to Hanover Township, and we wish him all the best.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Next on the agenda, we have the approval of the Township Committee meeting minutes of December 19th, 2022. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Next, I'd like to introduce 6 ordinances. I will read each title into the record. Ordinance 1-2023, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover, amending and supplementing Section 255.6C, entitled Qualifications of Towing Operators, Indemnification of Township, and Section 255-7, entitled Rate Schedule under Chapter 255 of the Code of the Township of Hanover, entitled Towing and Road Service, as it relates to the towing and road service charges for calendar years 2023, 2024, and 2025. Ordinance 2-2023, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover establishing the salaries of patrolmen, sergeants, and police officers assigned to the Detective Bureau for calendar years 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. Ordinance 3-2023, an ordinance establishing the salaries of lieutenants and captains of the Township of Hanover, County of Morris, State of New Jersey for calendar years 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025. Ordinance 4-2023, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover, amending and supplementing Section 125-4, entitled Recreation Department Fees, under Chapter 125 of the Code of the Township, entitled Fees, with the inclusion of the new 2023 fees related to various recreation and park administration department programs and activities, and the inclusion of new resident and non-resident pool membership fees for the year 2023 Bee Meadow Swimming Pool season. There's a typo on the agenda, just if anybody would like to, it's 4-2023. Ordinance 5-2023, an ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover in the County of Morris and State of New Jersey, repealing Section 21-2.8 through 21-2.E entitled Appointment of Members, Qualifications, Terms of Office, Vacancies, under Chapter 21 of the Code of the Township entitled Economic Development Advisory Committee, and amending and supplementing Chapter 21 with the inclusion of new sections 21-2.A through 21-E, including a new section 21-2.G. Ordinance 6-2023. An ordinance of the Township Committee of the Township of Hanover authorizing the acquisition by purchase or eminent domain, if necessary, of an unimproved portion of real property located at 30 North Jefferson Road and known as Block 9102, Lot 5, on the official tax map of the Township of Hanover for the purpose of developing affordable senior housing. I'd like to state for the record that all 6 ordinances and their respective notices of introduction will be published in full in the Daily Record in accordance with the law. Public hearing is scheduled for February 9th, 2023 at 8 p.m. If any member of the public would like to speak regarding these ordinances, they will be given the opportunity to do so that evening. May I please have a motion to introduce ordinances 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6?
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
On roll call, Committeeman Cahill.
Yes.
Committeeman Faramasco.
Aye.
Committeeman Francioli.
Aye.
Committeeman Mahalko.
Yes.
Mayor Gallagher.
Aye.
So introduced. Our next order of business is the approval of resolutions as a consent agenda, numbers 27-2023 through 42-2023. Does any member of the governing body have any questions regarding any of the resolutions?
Motion to approve?
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
So approved. And next, we have to pay our bills in the amount of $7,007,045.31. May I have a motion to pay the bills?
So moved?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And lastly, we have 2 raffle applications for approval tonight. Raffle numbers RL 3380 and RL 3381. May I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mayor and the members of the committee, that clears the agenda, and I thank you.
Thank you, Kristen. Right now, we're going to open it up to the public. Can I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second. Aye.
All in favor?
Aye.
If you'd like to be heard, please step up to the podium, state your name and address.
Leonard
Take it away.
Marshall, 107 Stone Creek Court, resident and also member of the board for the Grand Condominium. Going forward, this looks like it's going to go through, which is fine with me. I understand there's townhouses going over there, but is it true or the strong rumor that Costco has pulled out of building their wholesale club over there?
To be honest with you, the specific business that may or may not go in there, there are a lot of rumors, there's a lot of information, there's a lot of misinformation. Our job is to zone the property to suit a good rateable to come in there. We don't have any more information than anybody else does, other than our fingers are crossed and we're hoping to get a great business in there. And each step we take forward, the more likely we are to get one.
Yeah, because it was my understanding the first time they wanted to put stores and restaurants on the bottom, and next thing I know, Costco was going in there, now I heard that's pulling out, so I just don't know.
There was a couple different proposals.
Yeah.
And of course, we kick the tires on every one of them. We want what's best for that area because this is our town too.
Sure.
But there's nothing concrete right now, no. But in its current state, we're in a holding pattern, and hopefully tonight pushed us along to get closer to having
Oh,
something
believe
nice
me, we
there.
look at that pile of rubble on our back windows all the time, and I try not to bring anybody in that way, so it's been a long time coming, and I think it's going to be, somewhat time till it gets straightened out also. It's not going to happen overnight till it starts going and building all over again. My input of Costco, that's a wholesale club traffic in and out one day. I think it's best suited for restaurants and small stores that the community could be well suited for our community better than a wholesale club and a gas station. That's my opinion.
And thank you very much for that.
Thank you. We have enough gas stations.
Hey, as a governing body, we all privately want a nice ice cream place in town, and we're opening up an ice cream parlor.
We're pretty much in the town of Quick Checks the way it is, so I mean, we don't need another gas station. That's what I'm saying.
Anyone else like to be heard?
Good evening again, Terry Baird, 180 Parsippany Road in the Whippany section of Hanover. I have to say that the map that they had in the present, that was put online, is unfortunate that it was presented in the way it was. I'm hoping that it can be rectified, and I'll do whatever I can. I'll write down to Trenton myself and explain what, that the map is somewhat misleading, and it did raise a lot of concerns with people's emotions and stuff. But tonight I want to talk to Robert. Where's Robert? Robert did an excellent job getting those no stopping and standing signs along Route 10. They look really nice. I installed them nice. But it needs one more sign just before the driveway to get into the particular gas station next to the hotel. Because the gas station's line is out onto the highway. There's a sign just after it, just after the gas station, but there's not one before the gas station. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Terry.
If I could just add, Mayor, Robert, take that and write it down, Robert, but also, which is really important, Rob also has the DOT approval for those signs, which a lot of towns do this work and have these ordinances, but he stayed with it and got the DOT to sign off, so if there's ever a challenge, everything is in order here for, going forward, so just want to add that.
I would also like,
Feels ridiculous to be passing credit around for this exact thing, but Jerry and Krista and Joe really got it across the finish line, I want to say that.
you know what, I want to say on behalf of the governing body, we're thrilled with your work, you guys too, because I can't tell you how many times we called each other saying, here we go again, we have an issue. So thank you very much, great work.
Terry, just a little postscript. One of the things in speaking with the NJDOT was that there's a provision in the state statute that requires that we publish a notice in the paper about the new provision that was prepared by Rob, okay? And the DOT advised me that very few municipalities follow that provision. We are one of the few that did, and because of that, that's why we got permission. So we thank Rob, we thank everyone that worked on it.
Anyone else like to be heard? Mr. Kaiser, are you leaving or walking up to the podium?
No podium tonight. We'll break for the first meeting, Mayor.
Okay, anyone else like to be heard?
Motion to close.
Second? Now, taking a line out of Ron and John's playbook from the past several years, I think you guys heard plenty out of us at the reorg. If anyone from the governing body would like to say anything, please feel free. Otherwise, we'll adjourn. We have one more item in the back, and then that's it.
Move to adjourn.
I got to make something real quick because it's coming up. With recreation, I got to put it on notice, especially because it's one of our very popular events coming up on Sunday. This Sunday is the Lunar New Year celebration at our recreation center. It's the Year of the Rabbit. We get a huge turnout. Just want to remind our committeemen that it's this Sunday. And we also have a couple other things coming up. The silent disco is going to be in February, but you do need to register in advance. It's going to be on February 10th. It's a Friday night before Valentine's Day. You wear earphones, you hear the music, you dance, nobody else hears the music. Yep, silent disco. And there'll be snacks and a bunch of other things going on. So, but the point is that you do need to register in advance. So, that's that one. And then finally, one more thing, January 29th on Sunday, the Recreation is sponsoring a trip for wrestling to Rutgers versus Northwestern. Again, that's something that you need to sign up in advance. There are still a few tickets left. They travel down to Rutgers to watch, really sponsored by the wrestling club, and a lot of them are going, but there are still a few seats available if anybody's interested. Come on out. Rutgers is an excellent wrestling team. So that's it. That's all I got for tonight.
And Mike, you know, when I first came on, Joe Giorgio hit the buzzer when I was speaking one time, and Joe, I was going to say, hit the buzzer on Deputy Mayor Mahalka.
No, just had to get those out. These are coming up.
Anyone want to say anything?
I just got to piggyback on what Mike said. The Celebration Sunday for the Year of the Rabbit, if the past practice says anything to us, it's fantastic. It's colorful, it's culturally rich, it's beautiful to attend. If you can make it over to the center on Sunday, do it. It's well worth the time.
Yeah, we usually get around 300 attendance. No confetti cannons this year, sorry.
And he's still championing that?
Annie is back in charge of it, which is good to have.
Fantastic. She's fantastic.
Guys, before I ask for a motion to adjourn, I would like to say, Officer D'Angelo, we feel very safe. I'm going to ask Committeeman Cahill to report back to the chief that we feel very safe. So thank you very much, great job.
I appreciate it.
Can I have a second to adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everybody. Chris, I have a couple more here and then we're done.
Thank you.